Look, what's up? I rock with y'all, man. What's going on, man? I got the ring light too. I'm not gonna have this ring light on all the time because, bro, like, it be straining my eyes, man. But let's get into the video, man. I ain't recording this one, so it's going.
And so in this video, we're going to document every single way the CIA compromises everything around you. They start when you're just a child and it follows you into the games you play to escape. And the crazy people who see it early are treated as insane, right up until the moment they're either proved right or they never get to see vindication at all.
Why were his hands cut off?
It gets really crazy when you realize the things you love have had the touch of the CIA no matter where you go. So we're going to go over kids films, games, podcasts, movies, TV shows, and even your favorite influencers. And we're also going to show what happens to the people that call all of this out. So let's start this at ground zero with Hollywood. There's a version of your favorite films and TV shows that you weren't allowed to see. Scripts were rewritten, scenes were cut, endings were changed, and characters were altered.
They'd stamped top secret on the top and the bottom and the sides in the margins of every single page. And I said, guys, this is not top secret. This is a Hollywood movie. It's already on video. It's done. It's not an accident that every Hollywood movie about the CIA is pro-CIA.
This has been running since the 1940s. What started with Walt Disney producing propaganda shorts for the military has now evolved into a formal permanent operation, one that now reaches into the biggest franchises on the planet, and it hasn't stopped expanding from there. When John Kiriakou, a CEI whistleblower who went to prison for exposing the torture program, was asked on the Diary of a CEO how the agency would hypothetically design an influence campaign, this was his answer.
You would have to have a goal that would be specific enough that you could actually track the progress to it. It has to be a message. You've got to be able to get a specific, well-honed message out there. And the message can be anything. It could be, you know, love the CIA, we're the good guys. It could be support the overthrow of the Iranian government. It could be, you know, any criticism of Benjamin Netanyahu is anti-Semitism. It could be anything you want it to be. You just have to make sure that it's repeated enough.
He mentions a couple of things there that are highly relevant right now.
Repeat anything enough, it become law. Like, that's how folks be
Now, take Argo, an Oscar-winning film that almost everyone has heard of. The plot follows a CIA officer who poses as a Hollywood producer to smuggle 6 American diplomats out of Iran, all during the 1979 hostage crisis. As you can imagine, the CIA is unambiguously the hero. There's barely a single mention of the CIA's overthrow of Iran's democratically elected government, or the installing of a dictator who ruled with a secret police force trained by the CIA. And given the current conflict in Iran, you could reasonably argue that the public's understanding of who Iran is and how we got there was influenced in part by films exactly like this. During filming, Affleck visited CIA headquarters multiple times, sat in round tables in the director's conference room, and even emailed the agency promising to do the agency proud. The CIA had actually been promoting the Argo operation as a suggested movie plot on their own website years before the film was made, and even thanked Affleck publicly on Twitter for the film. Affleck said this when interviewed as part of the press tour.
Are there many actors in Hollywood who also moonlight as agents, do you think?
I think there are probably quite a few, yes. I think probably Hollywood is full of CIA agents, and we just don't know it.
But Argo's only the surface, and you'll be shocked about where exactly the strategy operates in Hollywood, the films it touches, and how smart it truly is. Take the original script for the Hulk. The canon storyline, as per the comic, involved Bruce Banner being transformed after a US military program gone wrong. It also included dialogue referencing Operation Ranch Hand, a real program that sprayed roughly 20 million gallons of chemical herbicides, including Agent Orange over Southeast Asia, poisoning a possible 4 million people. Both details were removed.
Taking war crimes and making fantasy movies about them is fucking insane.
Purposefully by CIA advisors. This is according to leaked files seen by The Conversation. They then changed the origin story to a lab experiment gone wrong instead because they couldn't risk anti-government sentiment in a franchise of this size. In the Transformers films, a Pentagon liaison inserted specific dialogue.
We seen that, John.
are obliged to follow their word. One Pentagon minder said on record, "If they don't do what I say, I take my toys and go away." A declassified CIA document released in
It's a
2019
new video,
all but
but he mixing in. I think he just mixed in like 3 videos together and just posted it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
confirms that, logging dozens of meetings between the CIA's Office of Public Affairs and executives from NBC, Time Warner, Viacom, Fox, Paramount, and CAA. The document covers just 2 years from 2014 to 2016. It includes lunches, development deals on campus filming approvals, and meetings to develop CIA-themed TV shows. The CIA has always claimed it merely answers requests on an as-needed basis. The document shows active outreach. The agency is going to the studios, not the other way around. But you have to stretch back much further to find out when this all began. Because when one of George Orwell's most important works was adapted into a movie, the CIA had the final say over its closing moments. That film is Animal Farm, a classic anti-establishment story about rebelling against power. After Orwell died, the film's rights to Animal Farm were purchased by 2 men, and both were undercover CIA agents. This was in 19...
Seen this.
Though it was originally aimed at adults, Animal Farm found its primary audience in school over the US and Europe. By then, the state and media were already deeply intertwined. Governments had correctly identified that the media was the best way to access the minds of the public. Generations of children were shown a CIA-funded film with a CIA rewritten ending, as if this was a faithful adaptation of Orwell. So you may not be surprised.
Alright, let's start here.
LA.
Yo, what's up?
Wow.
So I start talking to him, and he's like, dude, guess what we're building? I'm like, I don't know. I thought maybe it could have been like a Hardee's or something. He's like, we're building like a 20-story building, and 10 floors of it are the CIA, and the other 10 floors are a management company, Hollywood Management.
Theo was mixing up the CIA and CAA, Creative Artists Agency, Hollywood's most powerful talent firm, but Green made it sound like the real thing was even worse.
And you go to that building, and they call it like the Death Star. There are like, politicians who are being represented by CAA, athletes, tech bros, influencers. It's pretty frightening though when you go inside. It's almost like Scientology,
Like Scientology?
Hollywood's version of Scientology.
He's describing high-level ongoing talks at the intersection of the media, government, and big tech, all in a building lovingly called the Death Star. So you can now see how this whole influence campaign is far bigger than cutting lines in Marvel movies. It relies on cross-collaboration between multiple arms of state and private power. And the product hasn't stopped at the cinema. It's been actively following the audience, which means you, wherever you go, including online.
I'm about to say, not only that, your data is being tracked, so that's why they can suggest you what you want. That's why you see the Starbucks coupon at a certain time of the day.
CIA have a strategy for podcasters and for podcasting.
I think, yes, now they do. It took them a little while to get current,
They got that shit
but
online.
just like they, over time, developed a strategy with Hollywood, sure, they're developing a strategy with podcasters.
This strategy is consolidating as we speak, which will only make it easier for agencies like the CIA to wield greater
CIA
control over the
podcasters.
narratives. Larry Ellison, whose company Oracle now hosts TikTok US algorithm
my
and controls
God,
its
bro.
content
They
moderation,
really
just
did
bought
that.
Paramount through his son David. And if their bid for Warner Bros. And Discovery goes through, you can add CNN, HBO, Warner Brothers, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, Discovery, TLC, TBS, and TNT to that list. An internal memo obtained by NPR confirmed the Ellison-led entity will control what's allowed.
TikTok signs deal with it, bro. Ever since, if y'all know, I've been on TikTok since 2023, but I was supposed to get on it earlier than that. I can only imagine the TikTok money between 2020 and 2022 was even crazier, right? But it's been crazy on TikTok since about 2024. Like, it's calmed down now, but it was a bad 2 years.
And what's not on the platform. Bernie Sanders called it oligarchy. And Oracle, which sits underneath all of this, has held government contracts with the CIA and the Department of Defense for decades. Whatever you call it, the media pipeline is now shorter than it's ever been, and in fewer hands. There's a through line from Donald Duck selling war bonds to Captain Marvel. Selling Air Force recruitment to Google Earth, tracking your location has never been broken. The methods have evolved: direct propaganda, covert funding, script consultations, structural incentives, venture capital, and digital surveillance. But the principle itself hasn't changed. Get the message right, make sure it's repeated enough, and eventually nobody questions this anymore. And if you've seen what happens when someone steps outside that system, a screenwriter at the bottom of a canal with no hands, a researcher warned to back off before they ruin his life, maybe then you understand why so few people ever try. It's not a theory about Hollywood, but a description of what 60,000 pages of declassified documents confirm has already happened, and is still happening, to the stories you grew up on. The truth is, we simply don't know how deep this rabbit hole really goes, how much of the information-rich world around us is real, and how much is fake or manipulated just enough.
In other words, he's trying to tell you on a world stage, everything is manipulated.
To maintain a thin veneer of authenticity. Like we saw in this recent video we did on the CIA compromising podcasts, the rabbit hole truly goes deep. In any case, the strategies employed by the CIA and the government to influence the media are not theoretical, and they don't spend millions on them for no reason. So ask yourself, when you're next watching your favorite films and TV shows, can you really take them at value? If you think you can, ask yourself, for how much longer do you think this will be the case? There's one important detail in that story you need to hold on to. Animal Farm was made for adults. It was aimed at voters who'd read Orwell. That did not end up being the main audience. It ended up in classrooms, shown to innocent children who couldn't know an intelligence agency wrote the ending, and the CIA did not waste that lesson. Think back to the shows that were always on when you were a kid, the comforting background time of your mornings and afternoons. The shows that, whether you chose them or not, ended up raising you. Sesame Street, teaching you your letters and numbers. Scooby-Doo, pulling the mask off another monster. SpongeBob, laughing away in his pineapple under the sea. Timeless cartoons like Mickey Mouse, Tom and Jerry, and Looney Tunes, and the many classics of Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. But too often, if you look behind the veil, you'll find there's a second story that the credits never mention. A hidden message that no child could grasp, but one they would carry with them for life. You see, the media that raises the next generation profoundly impacts their worldview. And that's far too much power for governments, armies, and corporations to leave on the table. And that's when you begin to realize that your favorite kids shows were government propaganda. So let's start with the most trusted name in preschool television, a show tied to government-funded behavioral research and even to torture. This is Sesame Street, and the chances are that you'll struggle to remember what it's actually even about. You might remember the characters, the songs, the colors, and noise, but not a single storyline. And that's because there was never really meant to be one. It didn't start off life in a writer's room at all. This was an experiment developed in a lab, funded by some of the most powerful institutions in America with just one purpose: to master a child's attention. It began in 1966, not with a producer, but with a question at a dinner party. Could television actually teach children? To answer it, the Carnegie Corporation, the Ford Foundation, and the US federal government's Office of Education invested some $8 million and handed it to a research team. At this exact same time, the Ford Foundation was one of the CIA's favorite ways to move money. The agency itself called foundations like Ford the best and most plausible kind of funding cover, used to fund a seemingly limitless range of covert action programs affecting youth groups, labor unions, universities, publishing houses, and other private institutions. Sesame Street's head of research was a man named Ed Palmer, and Palmer
so it was good my camera froze because all I was doing was rolling up.
Built a device his team called the Distractor. They'd sit a small child in front of an unfinished episode. Then, next to the television, they'd run a slide projector, clicking to a new random image every few seconds. They sat and recorded second by second, the exact moments when the child's eyes drifted away from the show and towards the slides. Essentially, this is the earliest example of designing brainrot content. If a segment couldn't outcompete a random photo of a dog or something similar, it was failing. Apparently, the testing was relentless and would go on for hours. Ed Palmer even said, "You know Darwin's terms about the survival of the fittest? We had a mechanism to identify the fittest and decide what should survive." While the government supposedly funded all of this to build an educational delivery system, that intention became distorted over time. Such an efficient system could of course be used to spread prevailing social and political ideologies to children when they were their most receptive. It began relatively innocently. In 1992, they made an episode called Snuffy's Parents Get a Divorce. It was never fully aired because the test screenings were a disaster, with the kids left heartbroken.
Okay, kids, here you are.
Home, Daddy. Home. Home, Daddy.
No, Alice. I don't live here anymore.
Whoa.
Remember?
That was just the start, and it got a lot more intense since then. In 2025, Sesame Street posted a Pride Month message and went hard on educating kids on the LGBTQIA+ movement.
This month and every month, we want to uplift and celebrate our LGBTQIA+ family, friends, and communities.
Okay, everybody, I want you to meet my brother Dave, his husband Frank, and my sobrina Mia, my niece.
Hi, Mia.
Elmo, Cookie, are you ready to see my monster piece?
Ready, Jonathan.
Alan Monster is wearing the latest in high monster fashions.
They screened an episode where Elmo, depicted as a child, got the COVID vaccine.
You were super duper today, getting your COVID vaccine, Elmo.
There was a little pinch, but it was okay. Elmo was really glad to have Daddy and baby David there with him.
And this wasn't the only episode designed to support the government's policies. This one pretty much told kids,
bro, like, you know what's crazy about this? Nobody watches fucking Elmo no more. Bro, this bitch ass screen, bro. Fuck. Nobody watches Elmo no more though. You know? So it's like they don't even have the power like it used to. So even though they got Elmo to save, nobody give a fuck. Even if you get SpongeBob to say it, nobody gives a fuck. That shit would have worked for the old generation for sure. But this generation don't care about no damn Elmo. So, the CIA, you failed again. You're losing. Y'all lost the plot, bro. Social media ended the game. The internet destroyed the veil, nigga. It's over with. Because, yeah, you could own the, like, this is what happens when you own the likeliness of Elmo and Mickey Mouse and all these characters that's famous. Mario or whoever. But that only applies to a generation that cares about it. All that shit that is, bro, it's a bunch of, they got toy stores, all these vintage toys. Bro, nobody give a fuck about that shit unless you grew up in that era. Even if you grew up in that era, you don't care about that shit like that. So, it's only a certain niche. So, they could keep doing this shit, right? And the new minds, if you ain't getting, you got to pay attention to the new trends. What's happening on TikTok? What's happening with social media? What's happening with the influencers? They're watching IShowSpeed. They're not watching Elmo. Let's be real about this shit.
over just 2 years old to go away if they didn't want to comply.
Children under 2 years old do not need to wear a mask, but children older than 2 years old should wear a mask when they're out in public and they're around people.
And if you don't want to wear a mask, I've just got one thing to tell you. Scram! Go away!
For a show known for its decades-long collaboration with McDonald's until 2010, including several run of Happy Meals toys, they didn't seem to have their viewers' health at heart when it commercially suited them, or when they weren't compelled to otherwise. They also ran numerous town halls with CNN on race, prejudice, and gender theory. Even with politics aside, Sesame Street proved so effective at conveying messages that it was even used to influence children through co-productions aired in over 150 countries. In 2011, USAID spent $20 million to build a Pakistani version of Sesame Street. In their own words, the goal was to improve the stability of the country. Others ran in Northern Ireland, Kosovo, and Nigeria. There was even a joint Israeli-Palestinian Muppet show. All of them promote globalist American values, and the longer the show has gone on for, the weirder it's become. Those fun songs once engineered in a lab for children were used to torture victims at Guantanamo Bay. Strap a man to a chair, force the headphones on, and play a single Sesame Street track at deafening volume for hours, sometimes even days without a break. One man said it was among the worst.
You know, one thing about it is, if your parents get divorced, it's life. Even though it is traumatizing, it's life, bro. Like, my dad was divorced from my mom, but they were technically still married. But when I was growing up, they wasn't together like that. And from what I know, they was never together, but they was together up until I was like 5 or 6. But I didn't even know that, because by the time I got old enough, it was my dad's house, my mom's house. So, but my dad would come down to see me so much that it didn't feel like nothing. Like, it just felt like you had 2 different spots. Like, that should be cool. It give you a little bit too much freedom though, growing up in a divorced household. I feel like, as a young man, it give you too much freedom. Like, you need a lot of structure as a kid, especially in Babylon. I don't know. Either way though, you be alright.
Torture he endured. Sesame Street's torture was known to be more effective than waterboarding. As for the characters, they simply couldn't have been chosen at random, given all we know about the show today. Look closer, and beneath the relentless focus on diversity and inclusion, they start to seem neurotic and unwell. Cookie Monster is a binge-eating addict. Oscar lives in a bin. Bert has OCD. Ernie has ADHD. Elmo, who only speaks in the third person, has textbook narcissism. And Big Bird spends the entire show talking to a hallucinated woolly mammoth. Psychology Today called the show a window into madness. The article concludes, arguably, it also educates American children about an issue that will affect many of them as adults: mental illness. There's also a very real dark chapter behind Elmo himself. The puppeteer Kevin Clash resigned from Sesame Street after several men came forward accusing him of abuse, though the accusations were thrown out. Then, in 2008, a mother in Florida changed the batteries in her 2-year-old's Elmo doll, and it began in Elmo's cheerful little sing-song to say, "Kill James."
But yesterday's battery switch appears to have taught Elmo how to make death threats.
It's not something that really you would think that would ever come out of a toy, but once I heard it, I was kind of distraught. Kill James?
Apparently this happened to loads of the dolls who were reported saying stuff like, "Who wants to die?" and telling kids to beat up Elmo.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. It used to be some Elmo videos back in the day. Y'all don't understand. Like, when you first got on the internet, like, when we first got on YouTube, before I started watching YouTubers and stuff, like, YouTube was known for, like, anything. Like, 2 girls, 1 cup, scary videos, like, dumb shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, stupid at blue, like, just dumb shit. Like, but looking at those scary Elmo videos at 7, I'm talking about shit you search up on YouTube when you're 7, 8. Well, in my generation, I'm born in 2001. So, like, bro, them Elmo videos used to be scary as fuck. Elmo's alive and shit like that. I used to be like, whoa, bruh. Like, what the fuck?
This eventually became a YouTube ritual to sacrifice evil Elmo dolls in brutal fashion. But that's enough of Sesame Street. There's a paper trail there, while the rest cover their tracks much better. And these are the nostalgic ones. But before we continue to move on to the depths of the childhood propaganda, I do need a quick favor. I was just looking at the numbers, and a lot of you who watch regularly haven't actually subscribed. And some of you have told us that you get unsubscribed at random. So right now, if you enjoy what we do here, please check that you're subscribed, as we're closing in on a really important subscriber milestone to us. And the single most useful free thing you can do to keep the show going and getting better is to hit subscribe. And just make sure to double check it, as YouTube constantly unsubscribes viewers. And if you do that for me, we'll keep on digging into the stories nobody else wants to touch and expose the parts of the world that need it most. And trust me, it's only going to get better from here. So hit that subscribe, it really means a lot. And now let's get back to the video. This is Tom and Jerry, one of the longest running cartoons ever. It's always been associated with propaganda, especially during and after World War II and in the Cold War and Vietnam. But
Your tinseliness, imperious leader of Hollywood.
It's circulated online ever since, and the whole film is full of secret society references and iconography with no explanation at all. The president of Hollywood carries a disintegration ray in his staff, and the very first person he burns to ash is a character called Dr. Professor, who stands for science and reason.
Like, y'all, they add the sound effects and the music, but when you really look at what they talking about, that shit like, oh shit. Like, shit's real. That's what's so eerie about cartoons, bro. Because it'll be a cartoon, but it's not, though.
emphasis on the word super race throughout when they discuss the race that the film is about, and it should also be noted that he always pops up with two attractive women at his side. And this was in 2005, long before the Illuminati went mainstream online, before the viral videos and memes had half the internet convinced that the world's politicians and celebrities were all in on it. There's also a lot of violent killing going on generally in the episode, so much so that people have made compilations of all the deaths. Scooby-Doo is another classic cartoon with a second side, with a through line connecting to a shady lobbying organization whose purpose is to manipulate TV characters. The first unusual thing about it was that it was built to survive a moral panic. In the 70s, parents were complaining that kids' TV had become too violent. Scooby-Doo was designed to take over, making every ghost and every monster just a man in a mask. There is never a real monster. There's a criminal hiding among ordinary people wearing a disguise. The message is that fear is a con. Evil is merely a costume. You will get caught for doing bad things. The monsters are among us and will always pull the mask off. The long arm of the law will eventually get you and you will be humiliated. Many of the so-called criminals are just caretakers, business owners, and disgruntled locals, and the crimes often as trivial as trespassing. The one who cracks it every time is the nerdy girl in glasses called Velma. She was a prototype, designed to create a generation of smarter women in response to a backlash against girls being depicted as dumb in children's media. That evolved into the Gina Davis Institute, which examines how characters influence childhood aspirations and advises studios on how to build those characters, with backers including Disney, Sony, NBC, Universal, Paramount, and Warner Bros. Their flagship product is an AI called Spellcheck for Bias, an AI tool that scans a script and automatically counts and classifies every character in it by gender, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, age, and body type. It measures how many lines each demographic gets, how sophisticated their vocabulary is, and how much power and social status the writer has given them. One pilot saw the tool change up to 20% of the scripts it was run on. So imagine how a script now arrives in Hollywood, and before a human reads
We
it,
got 5 people in here. Can we get 5 likes, man? Let me get a like, man.
an algorithm decides whether it aligns with a centrally designed moral code that can usurp the writer's vision. No one has to declare outright we can decide what children believe, when you can hide behind the label of an activist. Incidentally, Velma's character was destroyed in 2023, when they reimagined her as South Asian and obviously bisexual, with even her diehard fans on the Velma subreddit calling her a horrible narcissist, and it became one of the lowest rated series in IMDb history. Bikini Bottom refers to Bikini Atoll, where America detonated the largest nuclear weapon it had ever tested. The show's own writers, probably with their tongue in their cheek, have since admitted the characters are radioactive mutants. Incidentally, SpongeBob is one of the very few kids cartoons to arguably get more extreme over time, as it's subtly catered towards more of its adult fans than children. But at some point you have to ask yourself what's really at the bottom of this iceberg, and who ultimately controls it. Disney is the entertainment monolith that presides over an empire exported to billions worldwide, so it's of course the perfect place to start, and its founder was in the pocket of the American security state from the beginning. For 26 years, Walt Disney was an informer for the FBI. He fed the Bureau a steady stream of information on who in Hollywood he thought was subversive of the US government. In return for his cooperation, the FBI let Disney film inside its own headquarters and demanded that they dictate the material. That footage became a segment of the Mickey Mouse Club, one of the first mass-market kids shows on television, watched by 20 million children a night. A Mousekeeter, one of the show's child stars, is given a tour of the FBI headquarters. He watches agents gun down a dummy of a wanted man, and has his own fingerprints taken and filed away. They reveal that the FBI had 146 million people's fingerprints in 1958, and knew every criminal in the country.
And he was assigned to find out my real name. The first thing he did was take me to be fingerprinted. I had been through this before when I qualified for my fingerprint merit badge in the Boy Scouts, so I knew my prints were here somewhere on file with the FBI. But there are 146 million fingerprints on file here, and with that many, I felt pretty sure it'd take weeks, maybe months to find mine.
That's just the start of a decades-long strategy to collect and centralize people's personal biometric data, culminating in the digital IDs you'll eventually need to do anything online. Under Disney's ideological regime, the core lessons have remained consistent for years. The heart of it all is individualism at all costs, that your family is holding you back, your area doesn't get you, and the brave thing is to break away and follow your heart. Moana sails off against her father, and people saw it as prejudicing a father worried about their daughter. Ariel gives up her entire world for what she wants. Then the monarchy is natural and good. Disney is astonishingly devoted to the idea of kings, queens, princes, and
I never thought about that, bro. The movie plot would literally be like the father, like, I don't want you to sail across the world to random people, but for the dad, I want to explore the world. No, this ain't Disney. What are you talking about? Damn, they introduced a lot of occult. This is real occult shit, bro. Look at these, the way they got the, bro, all of this is light magic. The way they got the titles, the way they got the covers. We just think like, oh, cartoons, Disney. Like, as soon as you see this shit, you just feel good. Wow.
Logical regime, the core lessons have remained consistent for years. The heart of it all is individualism at all costs, that your family is holding you back, your area doesn't get you, and the brave thing is to break away and follow your heart. Moana sails off against her father, and people
in the movie Moana, the dad is seen as mean and unreasonable because he won't let his teen daughter with zero sailing knowledge sail across the world. This is in reference to the fact that it's tough being a parent. And it's like, dog, like, no, I'm not mean. I'm trying to protect you.
People saw it as prejudicing a father worried about their daughter. Ariel gives up her entire world for what she wants. Then the monarchy is natural and good. Disney is astonishingly devoted to the idea of kings, queens, princes, and princesses. Frozen opens with Elsa's coronation as the high point, and even the modern girl boss heroines are still very frequently princesses. There's a clear social hierarchy, and the protagonists are often aristocrats, tribal chieftains, or other elites of their society. Then good and evil are usually the same. Scar has a black mane and a scarred eye. Ursula is old and ugly. The list goes on. The market always seems to fix everything. Cinderella's entire deliverance is a nicer dress and one party. Tiana in The Princess and the Frog works grueling hours at 2 jobs to make her dreams come true. And then consumption is always an expression of love. Aladdin doesn't win Jasmine as himself. He becomes Prince Ali and rolls up with elephants, servants, and a parade of gold. The Beast wins Bella by giving her a vast library. Now, Disney would tell you that this has changed, that it's more inclusive and diverse than ever. And the lengths they've gone to do that are extraordinary, as confirmed in 2022 when real footage leaked from an internal company meeting exposing their agenda.
The showrunners were super welcoming. Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. Let's have these 2 characters kiss. Let's in the background this
Uh-oh, Keisha. Here go Keisha. Keisha is the CIA #1 weapon.
I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of it. No one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
And another person in the meeting continues with this candid description of their internal messaging strategies.
Story, and especially with trans characters, you can't see if someone is trans. There's not one way to look
Zesty Zachary.
Trans, and so kind of the only way to have these canonical trans characters, canonical asexual characters, canonical bisexual characters is to give them stories where they can be their whole selves.
And how their messaging has been changed to remove boys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen entirely.
Last summer we removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our life skills. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've trained, we provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends. So many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We say dreamers of all ages.
These are adult employees explaining very cheerfully that they use their privileged position to work their own politics into kids shows wherever they could. Or to use the women's word, a not-so-secret agenda.
Karen, Zesty, Zachary, and Keisha. Who gives a fuck about Karen, Zesty, Zachary, and Keisha, nigga? Fuck this bitch-ass camera. I don't give a fuck that it keep turning off, nigga. I'll turn it back on.
It's just common sense that that's messed up. Nobody asked whether a kid left in front of a cartoon is the right person at the right time to be taught about sexuality, asexuality, or bisexuality, or what it means to be trans. Walt himself died in 1966, but this pattern of manipulation clearly outlived him, and it climbs right to the top of the company today. And honestly, this is where Disney and government intelligence worlds have a disturbing, little-known overlap. Within Disney, there's a research and development arm called Imagineering that dreams up the parks, rides, and experiences designed to seize your attention and hold onto it forever. It's the system that turns kids into Disney kids and adults into Disney adults. The story is, two men ran that wing, one after the other, but both left it to work at the very top of American intelligence. The first was Eric Hasseltine. Until 2002, he was head of research and development for all of Disney Imagineering. He left to become director of research at the NSA. From there, he was promoted into a job overseeing the science and technology of the entire US intelligence community, meaning the CIA, the NSA, and 14 other agencies. He said of himself, "You can think of me as the CTO of the intelligence community." The other is Bran Ferren, who ran research and development for the whole Walt Disney Company. Here's a clip of him talking to the CEO, Michael Eisner, who says Ferren knows everyone in the world government.
You came to Disney, you succeeded at Disney, you knew everybody in the world in government, and then when you go on your own, you have a better platform than you would have had before.
And a side note that the parks were run by the military.
Who the fuck even is these two dudes? Niggas be talking about Lil Durk, Lil Baby. Who are these two dudes right here? I guarantee you, they could fuck more shit over than Little Durk or Little Baby. I realized why celebrities were made, bro. It's so the secret societies, families, and all these people, corporate, it's so they can hide. Celebrity, when they say celebrities are a distraction, like, that shit is so deep, bro. Like, look at me, I'm famous. Or put the blame on him, he famous. And I don't care. It's even in corporations. Elon Musk, yeah, everyone's mad at, oh, Donald Trump, I hate our president. Like, they they really got characters for every single thing, bro. So you just get mad at the character instead of getting mad at, like, what's really happening. People stealing resources from you. And then when you got somebody that put it all together, like in a video or something, where they exposing shit, they just look crazy. You just yelling at everything. I can't eat nothing. No, you can't eat nothing. You can't eat nothing. You can't eat nothing. What am I supposed to eat, bro?
The management of the parks was no problem because Walt hired all these military people, and everything ran like West Point.
Wow.
The business he started after he left Disney is called Applied Minds. A reporter for Wired who got inside one of their facilities, some of which was leased from Disney, compared it to the Willy Wonka factory, with one chilling difference. Its clients by its own account range from Sony to the Pentagon's experimental technology division DARPA, in addition to Lockheed Martin and many other branches of the US military. Wired simply says this is where the secret laboratories are. It's called an Imagineering resource for hire, and Ferren admits he's designed 100 military command centers for, in his words, high-intensity military decision-making. The New Yorker laid out Disney's line into the NSA back in 2008, and hit the nail on the head when they say, the fantasy worlds that Disney creates have a surprising amount in common with the ideal universe envisaged by the intelligence community, in which environments are carefully controlled and people are closely observed and no one seems to mind. These guys walked out of one world and straight into the other, a door between a children's park and the upper echelons of an American intelligence system that barely a soul on the planet knows about. So it's clear that Disney doesn't really just make films anymore. It engineers experiences and buys the things you already love and turns them into more Disney. And this is a very important point to close on, because propaganda is also the dumbing down and muting of rebellious or anti-power messaging. George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World depict the descent into dystopia as the systematic removal of all resistance. Life would be dumbed down, the senses dulled, and power would move into the vacuum to take control over a world incapable of putting up a fight. Star Wars is the perfect example of this progression. George Lucas was always open on the fact that the original films were about America, and that the evil empire was the United States.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized...
You gotta remember, the United States is a military operation that's operating on the land of America. The USA. No, that's not what the original land is called. Bitch, we on Turtle Island. No, I'm just playing. But on some real shit though, like invaders made that name. We're under a current invasion. The USA corporation. It's a corporation, bro. You got to think about this. It's only been in business for 247 years, 250 years. 250 years? That's not shit. They told you black Americans been slaves for 400 years, but they ain't gonna tell you the first slaves was white indentured servants in America. Did you know that, John?
Empire? I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So were you thinking of that at the time?
That's very controversial when you think about it. One of the greatest ever American franchises glorified America's enemies? Then Disney bought it, and after a mildly political Rogue One, they milked it into an endless run of sequels and spin-offs. Or Eisner insisted it was not in any way a political film. The longer it dragged on, the clearer it became that its total lack of political conviction killed the franchise. But it's one of the most innocent kids shows of all, Paw Patrol, that artfully embodies this modern world of zero resistance. It's one of the most powerful popular franchises ever conceived of. Screened in 160 plus countries with 2 movies, an arena tour, a theme park, and billions in toy revenue. The setup is pretty simple. There's a town called Adventure Bay, run by a 10-year-old boy and a pack of talking rescue puppies who live in a tower and roar out in branded trucks whenever something goes wrong. There are no public services in Adventure Bay. No police, no fire brigade, no ambulance, no cancel. All of it is one private company owned by a child. This police state establishment operates from a literal surveillance tower that looms over the city like the Eye of Sauron. If all that sounds ridiculous, that might be...
I remember this show. I used to watch this shit sometimes. When did Paw Patrol come out? Like, sometimes this should be on TV, and I remember seeing it. Paw Patrol. You wouldn't even think this is a CIA control show. 2013. Yeah, I was like 12. I was like 12 when the show came out. I remember when the show came out. I was like 12 or 11. Bro, that's crazy, bro. I remember when this shit came out, bro. It seems way more recent than what it is. Why does 2012 seem like, not, it seemed like yesterday, but I remember this shit coming out, bro. That's insane. Is it 2013? First season. Yep. August 12th, 2013. I was 12. It's crazy.
Why it's so clever. A criminologist named Liam Kennedy published a peer-reviewed study in a respected journal whose conclusion was, word for word, that Paw Patrol, quote, echoes core tenets of neoliberalism and encourages complicity in a global capitalist system that reproduces inequalities and causes environmental harms. And he isn't alone. This libertarian utopia...
We got 6 people in here, let's get 6 likes, man.
No governments, no rules, a private army is impossible to tell apart from an autocracy. It is quite literally an Orwellian dystopia, total freedom operating under an unelected government that watches everyone from a tower. Every show in this video was chosen for that reason, for the simple yet powerful reason that you'd never suspect it. Ultimately, none were pointed at adults who could push back in any shape or form. It was pointed at you at 3, at 5, at 7, sat too close to the screen, absorbed in the colours and the songs, and underneath them an idea of who to trust, what to fear, and what not to question. You didn't choose any of it. Maybe you or others around you carried it their whole lives without ever knowing where it came from. Clearly, this long history of manipulating kids shows hasn't stopped. If anything, it's more nefarious now than ever because the constant sanitization of the subject matter is progressively killing critical thinking. And that's more insidious than any single message. And to salt the wound and add insult to injury, kids today also have to endure an adult's moral crusade being inserted to their innocent lives just because it's their personal not-so-secret agenda. Children grow up, and you only watch films once or twice or through a few times max over your lifetime for those that you really love. But the timely rise of podcasts and short-form video has given the CIA a new way into your head through a vast ecosystem of cheap, unregulated entertainment that touches some of the biggest names in modern media. Suddenly, the CIA and other intelligence agencies are infesting podcasts everywhere, constantly chattering on about some of the most debated issues.
That's why if you're wondering why on TikTok now, I've seen this shit pop off, but I've been wondering where it's going. Now in the comments you got, oh, it's staged, oh, that's fake, or oh, he's a sellout, or he's like, now the way they even speak about information is different. Like right now I can create a narrative. I could create a narrative so strong about Kai Cenat being he's a clone and he's mocking all. I can create it so strong I can make these little niggas believe it. If I made a video every day on it and really, like, I really see how, like, you could use your platform for straight bullshit. Now, I don't do that. I take what topics is out there and I flip it and I give my opinion on it. But you could sit there and cultivate a narrative with social media. Now you got clips. It's called clip farming. Clickbait. Well, I made this up, nigga. Clickbait. I'm the first person that said that. There's people that created clickbait, right? So once you got the title, once you got it's basically like clickbait, but for the clip. Because the clip is straight engagement farming off of the title of the clip, and it don't even be what it got nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Of our time, and you just have to wonder what the end game is here. The CIA used to be a faceless organization. 3 letters that conjured images of redacted documents and men in suits who didn't exist on paper. The whole point of an intelligence agency was that you don't know what it's doing. Now, you can't scroll through YouTube without one of them candidly sharing dark secrets about how all of this works.
Bro, that nigga's a character, bro. They gave him a go. There's no way that you're gonna expose all these CIA secrets. And even though he did go to jail, they said he went to jail for it and stuff. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying?
You've seen clips of it yourself, like the grey-haired American man calmly explaining how the CIA told him to pretend to be gay to recruit a foreign spy. So we reached out and spoke to him for exclusive insights, as after seeing clips like this, it was hard to ignore something weird was going on.
Headquarters says, "We want you to pretend that you're gay." I said, "Oh, come on, you guys. No, we really need the information. You got to pretend that you're gay."
Whoa.
I said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it for Uncle Sam."
Or how his boss ordered him to sleep with the ugliest woman he'd ever seen, for the good of the country.
Who was the ugliest woman I've ever seen in my life. Like, you want to avert your eyes. Like, she came off the side of Notre Dame. She was a stone gargoyle with a giant mole right here with a giant hair coming out of it. That kind of ugly. And my boss says, "Okay,
fuck that.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to fuck her." And I said, "What?" I said, "Have you ever seen her?" And he said, "I know, but we're the good guys, and you're gonna have to take one for the team."
Or how the agency dosed random strangers with LSD in San Francisco brothels.
They rented a safe house in San Francisco.
Oh God, I'm not surprised at that. Cause Jim Jones, he killed all them people in San Francisco. Yo, I'm born in the Bay Area, right? When I tell you that shit is the most corrupted place ever, nigga, we were stealing electronics and selling it to niggas called the Migos, right? But guess who the Migos is across the street from a police district, a police precinct. And the police sit out there and watch the Migos do that shit. As a kid, I'm thinking like, oh, this is an easy way to get some money. But now that we older, it's like, what the fuck is going on? So for the CIA to be in San Francisco and all that elite fat, and then when I figured out that San Francisco is like a real ancient city and there's a lot of elites there and shit, I'm like, that makes sense. Makes sense.
They recruited a bunch of hookers and had them go out and pick up Johns, bring them back to the safe house where they thought they were going to get laid, dose them with LSD, and then interrogate them.
Or how things that were once conspiracies are now just mainstream knowledge.
I believe very strongly that he was an Israeli access agent.
Did he work for the CIA?
No way. The CIA's job is to collect foreign intelligence. What foreign intelligence did he have? He's spying on Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Prince Andrew. That's the Israelis.
And he's not alone. The intelligence community is flooding the podcast circuit right now. Gavin DeBecker, not exactly a former intelligence officer, but the man who runs anti-assassination protection for the world's most famous, said this about Epstein.
What he was is a construct. He's a created construct. Money, wealth, private jet, private island, fun, not married, young girls, lots of things. $500 million of money came from Les Wexner, who's a wealthy guy who owned, I don't know what he's doing now, Victoria's Secret.
Jesus.
Big donator to the state of Israel. And $500 million was transferred to Epstein along with power of attorney to use it and
So
invest.
them niggas are taking penny money. So they taking money from bitches' pennies and fueling war with it.
In the ways he saw fit.
He even described a friend who narrowly avoided it.
He goes to meet with Epstein in New York to ask for money for a charity, and Epstein is in a robe. And Epstein says, hey, they're finishing the meeting. He says, hey, I'm going to get a massage, hence my robe. You want to get a massage? And through the hallway, my friend can see a massage table and a room and a very cute girl.
The Epstein situation is where John Kiriakou, a veteran ex-CIA operative, has gone mega viral with his bombshell disclosures. On the Diary of a CEO, he went further than he had before.
Do you think Jeffrey Epstein was a spy?
I believe very strongly he was a spy, yes.
And who do you think he was working for?
The Israelis. I'm confident it was the Israelis.
Why?
Jeffrey Epstein is kind of the stereotypical example that they give you in training for what's called an access agent. If you're a foreign intelligence service and you want information, like close-in information from a former president, from the CEO of the biggest company in the world, from a member of the British royal family, you're not going to recruit these guys. You're not going to recruit Bill Clinton.
And he's made the same points on so many other podcasts with remarkable consistency.
I mean, what's the point of running the operation if it's not to collect
You're saying he's full of
compromise?
shit too.
It was about blackmail. It had to have been. I don't understand it otherwise.
They then take 10 minutes to look into it and they're like, oh my God, he's running a fucking pedo ring at the behest of the Victoria's Secret guy in fucking New York City. And oh my God, they got dirt on everyone, including the current president. This is a crisis the likes of which, if we outed this, everything could fall.
It's dramatic, cutting, and critical of the highest institutions of government. And some of his other disclosures, probably the ones that get less attention because they're harder to meme, are just as unsettling. On the Danny Jones podcast, he described what came out of the Vault 7 leak. Tens of thousands of pages of classified CIA documents dumped to WikiLeaks in 2017 by an angry software engineer. The revelations feel like they're from a movie or a video game.
He revealed that the CIA has developed technologies to, for example, remotely take over your car by hacking into the chip, right? Why would the CIA want to take over your car? To make you drive off a bridge, maybe? To make you drive into a tree and kill yourself?
Shut your shit off.
To make you drive into an abutment and make sure that there's no way you can survive because they've got the thing going 140 miles an hour and you can't control it? They developed technology to reverse your smart TV, to make the speaker into a microphone with the TV still appearing to be off, so you don't know that it's broadcasting everything that's being said in your house to CIA headquarters.
Oh, they've been had that tech. That ain't new. That's ancient technology. Look, bro, everything that they have now, it been had. It's just they're utilizing it in this era, this timeline, this format. But when they released technology when it first started, I'm pretty like, if you're a programmer or a coder and you code a machine, you're gonna put some malware in there, or you're gonna put something in there that makes it like you able to still have control of it. That's why so many people don't like Apple. They rather have a PC or they could program it themselves. Like I got a laptop, right? I bought this laptop at the pawn shop. There's probably shit in this laptop that I just never know that's in here. It's probably in some file or code. Like, what I'm saying is it could be a damn CIA document in this bitch, or this could have been anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there could be shit hidden. It could be codes that, think about like Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC, right? It's able to get modded, or how video games can get modded. But they can only mod something that's already in the game. So even if it's not in the game, they can implement a code and put it in the game, because it's pixels and shit. But
And then this one, which is shocking though probably not surprising, yet he's somehow presenting it as a simple fact.
They were able to hack into other countries' most sensitive technological systems and to leave little scraps of code, but the scraps of code are written in Russian or in Persian, in Farsi. So people say, oh, the fucking Russians hacked into us, or the Chinese, or the Iranians. And actually, no, it was us. But you'll never know it.
The way these stories are delivered makes you think they're putting their lives on the line to tell us, like a noble act for the good of us, the humble public. Access agent, compromat, intelligence peddler, he sounds like an insider decoding the story for civilians. And his career definitely backs this up. But if
he's a staged whistleblower.
you look really carefully, you start to see a few deviations that make you wonder what's really going on here. His views evolve, but the timing is key. On his earlier appearances, he was strong on Epstein being a Mossad access agent. Then the latest tranche of Epstein files came out, and suddenly his position moved.
I've always maintained that Epstein, to me, was obviously a Mossad access agent. And I said that right here on the show. Now, with the release of this latest tranche of documents, I think he was more than that, and that he was probably not exclusive to the Israelis. We know from these latest documents that he had some sort of association with MI5 and MI6, essentially the FBI and the CIA of the UK. We know that he made an approach to the German intelligence service. And we know that he tried hard to get a one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin.
When he says Epstein was an Israeli agent, that theory had been circulating for years based on Ghislaine Maxwell's father Robert Maxwell's documented Mossad ties. When he describes the hidden cameras on the island, the New York Times had already reported them long before he mentioned them. When he describes the sweetheart deal, that was one of the most covered aspects of the entire Epstein saga. On torture programs back around the 9/11 and Guantanamo Bay era, John got ahead of the official narrative and paid for it with his freedom. On Epstein, he doesn't take any real risk. On the safest possible question, did Epstein take his own life, he goes with the consensus.
Did he commit suicide?
I believe he did.
Oh, no way. No way. You're a fucking CIA asset. You're a CIA agent. And you believe Epstein didn't? What? Yeah, he's full of shit. Just off of that answer right there. There ain't no way you believe that. You know all this shit about how the in and outs go. What about the chirp fan? What about the camera turning off? What about the fact that it's impossible to hang yourself in a cell? Now if you would have said some shit like, man, Epstein, they moved that nigga to another island somewhere, they hid him, they changed his identity, swapped his face, some shit like that, he's wearing a mask or something, I'd been like, ooh, okay, he talking that shit. Maybe he still could be not, you know, but yeah, I believe. Oh yeah, of course he did.
People don't realize that in the Bureau of Prisons, everybody has his head up his ass. The cameras never work, the guards are always sound asleep. This happens all the time. These suicides, they happen like literally every day in American prisons.
That might be the single lowest risk position on the single most controversial question in the entire Epstein story. He even hinted at how he might not know too much at all.
I said that I was confident that Epstein was a Mossad access agent. And I believe that I've been proven correct.
So he was proven correct by information that became public, not by anything he independently knew. Which should tell you how much deeper the Epstein story really goes, when even serious CIA whistleblowers can't give you something extra. It makes you ask how absurdly dark it is when those who literally went to prison for whistleblowing only confirm the information drip-fed to us. But the aim—
Nigga, let you know that this shit is staged, bro, and you're not bucking these niggas, bro. The only way you finna buck these niggas, even, I ain't gonna lie, even if you go X-Man, if you go X-Man right now, they got some shit for you. Even if you do go X-Man, mutant, and you can stop bullets and you can activate your DNA, nigga, they got niggas for you. They got niggas for that too. They got weapons for that too, bro. Nigga, all we gotta do is activate our DNA and come together. We're gonna take the planet back and melanated people gonna rise. Shut the fuck up, man. Shit over with, bro. This shit is over. Do y'all not realize that there's somebody that look like you that's at a high position that's fucking your people over? Whether you Asian, black, white, Mexican, Cambodian, Spanish, I don't care what tribe you is, what culture you from. Because in America, that's what we say, black, Asian, white, Mexican, but in other parts of the world, it's whatever culture you from, there's somebody fucking you over. Shit is a spiritual warfare, bro. That's why I see why people just say, give it to God, give it to God, give it to God. Because it'd be like, what are you going to do about all this shit? But go deep in the rabbit hole and shut yourself out. But I do like learning this information just to learn it. Learn the information to keep myself on my toes. I like this information because it's the truth about the world. It's a world stage. This shit is interesting, bro. People want to play GTA 6. I'm trying to figure out the mysteries of the earth. So you got to put all these things together.
It's not to discredit John, as he's a rabbit hole in himself, and that tells you a lot about why the CIA is trying to make intelligence accessible to the public in the first place. He spent 14 years in the CIA. He led the raid that captured one of the first major Al-Qaeda figures taken after 9/11. He was the first US government official to confirm that the CIA was waterboarding prisoners. And then he went to prison for it. Not for torturing anyone, but just for talking about torture, where John would see 23 months inside of a prison.
Did any of the people who were torturing other people wind up in jail?
Not a single one. The torturers.
I'm sorry, it's so crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts. The torturers didn't go to jail. The people who conceived of the torture, the people who funded the torture, appropriated taxpayer money for the torture, the people who implemented it, nobody went to prison but me.
He studied Middle Eastern studies.
Yeah, shut your ass up. Shut the fuck up. All that talking, nigga. That's how I'm the CIA right now. Shut that shit up, nigga. All that talking, nigga. We paid you good to shut your fucking mouth. Next time we're at your fucking house serving you your warrant, your arrest warrant. But we're gonna come and kill you in disguise as an arrest warrant.
He's got a master's in legislative affairs, and as graduate professor, a CIA psychologist recruited him into the agency. And almost immediately, he found himself in the room where it all happens. He described being sent to the White House at 26 years old, the day after Iraq invaded Kuwait.
And we all sit down. The president tells us sit down. We sit down and the president says, well, now what do we do? And everybody turns and looks at me. I said, Mr. President, as you know, Iraqi troops crossed the border at 2 o'clock this morning. And I said, actually, he's the co-founder of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The vice president shouts, Jesus Christ. And then the president says, gentlemen, thank you. We'll take it from here. And I remember saying to myself, my friends would never believe in 1,000 years what I was doing right now. They wouldn't even believe me if I told them.
Yeah.
That's what an analyst does. When I switched to operations, again, the job was very straightforward. It was to recruit spies to steal secrets. But then if you're involved in counterterrorism operations, there are a lot of extras that you have to be trained in. So you go through the normal spy training. This is how you ingratiate yourself. It's something called the asset acquisition cycle. Spot, assess, develop, recruit.
After 9/11, they made him chief of counter-terrorist operations in Pakistan, and he was involved in some high-level raids. There's absolutely no doubt that he was in deep. At one of the sites, they found Abu Zubaydah, which is the guy he went to prison over, building a bomb. He then tries to escape across the rooftops and was shot but kept alive. Then came the offer that would define the rest of John's life. CIA officials approached him and 13
Bro, Call of Duty don't got shit on what be happening in real life. This shit be busting. This shit sound like a fucking Call of Duty campaign mission, nigga.
Other officers about being trained in enhanced interrogation techniques. On Carlos Watson's show, he explained how that panned out pretty much like the movie scene you can imagine it as.
Well, I was one of 14 people asked if
like
I
a
wanted to be
movie.
trained in the use of what they called enhanced interrogation techniques. I was the only one of the 14 who said no. Besides being immoral and unethical, I thought it was illegal. It was illegal.
A colleague who happened to be a psychiatrist pulled him aside.
He said to me one day, buddy, you know they call you the human rights guy behind your back.
Oh
and I
my
said, yeah, I know. And he said, you know that's not a compliment,
That's not
right?
good.
And I said, Steve, I'm right and they're wrong. And I'm comfortable with my position.
One of his more
Alright, bro. You can't do that. You can't join it. But them motherfuckers is crazy. Do you know the type of shit that they do? Do you know the type of... It's a different type of white boy, bro. You might have your redneck white boy in the South. I know my rights. Might call you an N-word or something. Yeah, that's a certain type of white boy, yes. But that military white boy, nigga, he'll rip your throat out, bro. And then be at Starbucks in the morning. I swear. Y'all think this shit a game, bro? Like, niggas is killers, bro. Nigga, they'll put their blood on your face. I mean, they'll put your blood on their face. After they smack your ass. Man. And these niggas be highly trained. Blue eyes. Like, go look at the video with AMP. And they was doing the Navy SEAL training. And them white boys had them blue eyes and they just shit like that. Not the white man down the street or maybe the racist white man. I'm not even talking about the cool veteran, because there's some cool veterans out there. No, I'm talking about the military white boy that never went out of he ain't going off service. He's on go forever, nigga. And you don't see him until you see him. One time, bro, I was doing this delivery. And no, I wasn't doing delivery. One time I was at big homie, she talked about this shit. He was saying how one time he seen this car. He was in the middle of the desert and they seen all these white boys in this car and they was yelling and screaming. And it reminded me of this time I was in my house. I'm downtown, right? And I seen tasks, the way they move, bro. These niggas drove by my house, right? I was in the hood. I was living in the hood. Like, so I guess they was looking for somebody or something. Nigga, a car rolled by. It was what's that car? I was about to call it a cavalcade. A cavalcade. That's what it's called on GTA 4. A Cadillac, right? I mean, what's that called? That 4-door Cadillac. Not the Cadillac, the 4-door Chevy. Like the what's that car called, bro? The 4-door truck that the police drive, bro. But that bitch was gray, and the black and all black windows, all 4 windows down, all 4 seats filled, nigga. Them niggas had they arm out the window riding through the neighborhood, but you couldn't hear the car, bro. I swear to God, you couldn't hear the car. But I just end up seeing it because I had my screen door open. You feel me? Because I used to smoke outside and shit. It was back at my old house. So, and I'm in Phoenix. You feel me? It's just a police state. But when I seen them drive by, I'm like, ooh, they'll pull up on you like that. It's over with. What the fuck you gonna do? They pull up on you 4 deep in that great car. Boy, I seen that car before. I swear to God. They don't play. They'll just pull up, bro, and that car be quiet as fuck. And they own you. They already own you. It's too late, bro. If they wanted to kidnap you, grab you, whatever they wanted to do, they could do to you. Literally. Even though I think that was the police, how do I know? Like, I don't really know if that's the police. It's my first time I ever really talking about that shit, but I remember seeing that motherfucker drive by. I'm like, ooh, that motherfucker look breezy. You feel me? But I gotta go to work though, y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later on.